First of all, let me start by saying congratulations on the movie.
Thank you.
I think you had a next to impossible job, and you did it so admirably, and I'm sure you're hearing that from everyone. What is the sense, after going through what you went through, what is the sense of having everyone be so enthusiastic?
Well, it's first and foremost relieved, because I say that this was a huge monumental task. Generally the reaction for the movie so far has been overwhelmingly, positive in a very big way, and I'm so happy for that. And but every now and then, you get one or two people that kind of go, meh, right, about it, and I say to myself, I say, if they only knew what it took to get to that meh stage. If only they knew how hard it was to land this burning plane, they would understand how difficult it was. It was a really challenging movie to make to begin with, but to add to it this extra level. It was something that none of us have ever experienced before, and it wasn't like I could just pick up the phone and just call someone and ask them, hey, what did you do when this happened to you, right? This was unprecedented, and so it took a lot of soul searching to get it to this final stage.
What did you? I'm very curious about your when you finally wrapped everything. When everything's wrapped and you're cutting. Mm-hmm. How long was your first cut when you were starting to put it all together?
I have a tendency to overcut my movies. I tend to like this one. I actually cut it a lot shorter than what the producers wanted. They were like, "Oh my God, James, you went too far," because I tend to kind of go, "Oh well, this is what they want." The studio mentality, or people generally want shorter movies, and these films tend to be very long, right? And so I kind of overcompensated, and so I really cut it really really short. And luckily, we all kind of go, "Oh, you know what? Okay, it's great." So we saw that as a foundation, and then we sort of went back and started adding in a bit more stuff here and a bit more stuff there to make up to what it finally is.
Now, was it footage that you had shot, mm-hmm. and then you're adding it back in, or was it footage you're like, wait a minute, oh, we need to do a little extra photography?
It's stuff that I've already shot. Believe it or not, most movies these days, like just about every movies that ever makes, that they make have reshoots and pickups and stuff like that. And on this film, we basically only had 1 or 2 days of pickups and shoots to do, and that's nothing on a movie this size. But that's only because when the incident happened, and that was halfway through the film, we took time off and to reassess what we have and to kind of go through it and see what we needed moving forward, and that time off was what we really truly needed to know how to push forward with the ending.
Totally. I don't want to talk about the ending specifically, but I will say that I believe most people are going to be very happy with the resolution and what you guys did with it.
Yeah, I really hope so, because when we first heard when I first heard the news, I was shell shocked like everyone, and it took me days to come to terms with it, and then after that, heartbreak started sinking in, and we realized, that Paul wasn't going to be around with us anymore, moving forward, and it was a really hard one, and it wasn't, finishing the movie was the last thing on my mind at that point. It was more the idea of, picking up the pieces, going back on set, rallying the team, the cast, and the crew, and as the director, having to put on the brave face and to sort of champion and push everyone along. The idea of that was very daunting for me, but it became very apparent to all of us that we needed to finish this film. We needed to finish this movie to honor Paul's legacy and to basically to honor his memories, and moving forward, that became our number one goal. Like nothing else mattered. It was about making this movie proper for Paul.
One of the things I really dug is the way you shot some of the fight scenes with the moving camera, flipping. I really dug it. When did you come up with all that, the idea for doing what you did with some of the camera moves?
Well, I mean, my philosophy, I'm such a big action movie junkie that usually as an action fan, because action scenes generally are so, they're so heightened, right? We can never really kind of like picture ourselves in that scene. And so when you watch an action movie, you experience action movie more outside of the aquarium. You're outside the aquarium looking in at all the swimming fish that are in there, right? Whereas horror films and thrillers are designed to put the audience into that box, into that aquarium, right? And so what makes horror movies work is the idea that, oh my God, what would I do if I'm in that situation, right? How would I get out of that alive? Or what would I do if I saw, the door to my closet creaking open in the middle of night and a doll on a tricycle comes riding out. And so I try to apply that kind of thinking to it, and I realized that my camera work could help me in a lot of ways to get the audience to put the audience in the driver's seat, so to speak, to kind of get them in there, with the action, and to get them as close and be as intimate with what was going on screen, and so. Designing the pyrotechnics of my camera movement for me was very important. Just like I wanted the camera to be a big part in telling the story as well. Like what I really believe in all the films I make. And to give you an example, the opening of the movie, the opening shot of the film, is a one-take shot where it reveals Jason Statham's character, and without giving too much of it away, you see him there, expounding, the blood oath, right? Basically declaring a blood oath, and declaring the vengeance that he's gonna go on this path of vengeance, trying, take out the people that hurt his family, and then he walks out of the hospital, and the camera just follows him all basically in one take, and I thought that was important in saying who his character is, in that he's very single-minded in his quest for vengeance, and also I thought it helps to build the mythology of this character that's larger than life, that's very that has a anti-hero, almost a Western quality to him. That he wasn't an outright bad guy, but he was more like an anti-hero, almost like a classic sort of Clint Eastwood character from his spaghetti Western days. And so that was how I wanted to kind of portray Jason's introduction.
I think
with the camera work.
No, totally. What's interesting is I wonder, I'm a huge film buff, and I notice when the camera is not cutting. And I always wonder, how much does middle America and
appreciates that?
Yeah, and do the casual people that are watching the movie, do they notice that the camera's not cutting, or is it just for us film nerds that we notice?
I don't know, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay if they don't realize that. I think it's okay if they just feel it. Do you know what I mean? A lot of times you may not quite understand the cinematic tricks that go behind or the making of a film, but as long as you kind of you feel it, I think that's the most important thing.
I'm definitely curious. Listen, I'm a big fan of the franchise, and I'm curious. Have you guys talked about what the original ending was going to be for Furious 7 before tragedy hit? Or was it, you know what I mean, was it always...
Yeah, I mean, there was the original ending served a very different purpose, right?
Going to Furious 8?
Yeah, exactly. So the original ending of Furious 7 was setting up the bigger world of where the Fast and Furious franchise could go into, right? And I think that's obviously very smart of them to think so. But when the tragedy happened, all that became irrelevant,
sure.
Right? And so it did not matter anymore. All of that stuff, and to the studio's credit, they did not push for that. They realized how important it was to make a movie that finishes and that just outright is a tribute to Paul Walker, so I give them a lot of credit for being bigger than that, and going along, with this ending that is the right ending to go with.
100%. This is your first time managing the cruise ship of this size.
Right.
It's just a massive movie.
Yeah.
How much was Neil, your producer, able to sort of shield you? What was the experience like for you jumping from a world where you probably have so much creative control to being, the studio is very following along. How are you going to shoot this? What are you going to do with that?
Right. No, I mean, of course, I came into this with no disillusion that, I wasn't delusional in any way in thinking that this was my franchise. It wasn't, right? This is, this belongs to Neil Moritz. This belongs to Universal Studio. This belonged to Vin and all the cast. But they were very cool as well. They wanted my voice, and so I came into this knowing that it is a number 7, for goodness sake, and so so it's such a well-established machine, and of course they have it down to a great degree of how these films are made, and so I came into this knowing that the sandbox was very well constructed already. This is the analogy I use. The sandbox is there already. You come into it, and I just I say, okay, I know I need to play within the sandbox, but hopefully the sandcastle that I get to build is mine.
100%. And I think with the camera work and all the things we've talked about, definitely brought it. I know I'm running out of time with you. I can feel that vibe from people. So I definitely want to touch on. In my mind, I was thinking maybe one of the reasons why you're making Conjuring 2 next is because maybe from there you're going to jump into a DC superhero movie. And maybe that's like the universe is like Warner Brothers, because, the people at Warner Brothers are they like filmmakers, if you will.
Yeah, it's weird, continuing that family tradition.
Yes.
They are like that, and it's almost that like they're very old school in that respect, which you don't really quite see much of anymore.
I definitely want to know if you have a favorite DC superhero of any kind, because they're making 20 movies over there.
You mean of the ones
that they've so far announced?
Yeah, that they haven't done yet. Yeah. They are some that I like.
Right. Okay. So, is there a possibility you could be playing in that sandbox? Is that something that interests you?
I'm open to all possibilities at this point.
Okay, I'll stop teasing you on that. When do you film? Listen, I got to tell you, I really dug Conjuring a lot.
Thank you.
And as much as I want to see you tackling other things, I'm also excited to see you go back to there, because you make really good scary movies. So what, have you already been thinking about that, or is it not even
I've been working very heavily on the script, and the idea of continuing the saga of Ed and Lorraine Warren is actually very exciting. And so the idea of going back to kind of nurture my baby that I created is part of the reason why I'm going back to doing The Conjuring 2. And in some ways it's kind of it'll be like a holiday break for me after this film. So it's cool. But I definitely while I do Conjuring 2, my plan would be to start setting up, finding that next big film that I want to jump into.
My last thing for you, when do you start filming it?
Conjuring 2, later this year.
Okay.
Because I'm taking some time off.
I really don't blame you.
Yeah. My next big assignment that I want to do is sleep.
And maybe watch some movies.
Yeah, and watch some movies. Yeah, that's the problem. When you make movies, I find out I never have time to go to the movies and enjoy movies like I used to, because I'm so movied out, right? I'm so filmed out that the last thing I want to do in my little spare time that I have is sit in a dark room and watch more stuff on the screen.
Yeah, I gotta go, but I think the other thing is that some filmmakers have told me one of the reasons they don't watch movies is because they don't want to be influenced by something they're seeing. They don't want to know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's that thinking behind it, but for me, I'm just too tired, that's all. I'm just too tired with watching more stuff on the screen.
I will leave it there. Congratulations on
Thanks,
this,
bro.
man. You really did the impossible.
Thank you so much.
I mean that. Let me hit stop.